As you see, my Jedi powers are far beyond yours.
All right, welcome everybody to DCI Episode 6 with Derek Summers, myself, and what's the name today?
Big Sexy, baby. Always Big Sexy. What are you talking about? What's the date? What's the name today?
I'm just checking. I'm just got to make sure. So people change a lot of stuff around here. As you can see, we've actually changed our studio setup now. So this is still a work in progress. So we are giving this a shot. Hopefully you guys will like this. There's a lot more stuff coming, but we've switched from our original studio piece that we had to this. We're going to try a few more things. So if this episode seems a little bit weird, just bear with us. More is on its way. So going back to episode 4, if you've already watched episode 5, you know why we're not talking about that one. But episode 4, we were talking about some of the feedback that we were getting on our SLABS. We were able to answer a lot of those questions. We actually did get some of those answers posted up for our viewers. So anything new that you've seen from feedback about our SLABS or anything comes around?
No. I mean, it's still all positive, just like, it was a week ago.
Yeah.
So,
are you still paying those influencers?
Man, I have to admit, I haven't paid anybody anything.
Still no. Okay, great. Well, we have seen a lot more videos continuing to come out from other people, shout outs, comments. So we do love that. So thank you. Keep feeding that stuff in. We want to continue to hear what you have, and we want to answer those questions, right? So there's nothing that's been really off limits for us. So please feed us in and hit us up on that. So we do have one thing that I want to make sure that we catch our viewers very early in, which is that we have a giveaway going on, and it's actually to Cabo. So why don't you go ahead and talk about the giveaway and what that entails?
What are we giving away?
A trip to Cabo.
Does somebody else want to talk about this? Because I don't know nothing at all about no Cabo trip.
Yeah, you do. You know nothing about a Cabo trip. You've never been to Cabo?
No. Who's paying for this Cabo trip?
I don't. Influencers?
No, we are. We're giving away a trip for 7 days to Cabo.
Yeah.
It's going to be for 2. I've got the resort already picked out for that trip. Very nice resort. You'll get to choose up to 6 months of when you want to go. So your airfare you've got to take care of. And the reason that I've done that is because I didn't want anyone to, rely on us to set the airfare and then them have something come up and, think it wasn't a good time for them. So it's just always good for them to do their own airfare. But DCI is going to take care of the entire resort. It's going to be a great time. So
cool. So how do they enter for that? Is that something they have to do?
Every card that is submitted through our online portal or online submission, it counts as one entry.
Got it.
Into that contest. And so you send 10 cards, you get 10 entries. You send 100 cards, you get 100 entries. So if you can really pay attention there, the more cards you send, the better it's going to be for your chances to win. Send 1,000 cards, get 1,000 entries.
Yeah.
And so all your entries go in. We will do a randomizer, kind of like they do for breaks.
Sure.
And we'll do that live for everyone. And we'll pick a winner, and we will give that away. And that runs from April, May, and the month of June. So we will give it away in July.
Okay. So you have until the last day in June.
Yes, June 30th.
Now, do their cards have to, just for specifics, do they have to be here, or just their submission has to be done by that point, right?
Their submission has to be done by June 30th.
Okay. So the cards don't have to arrive by then,
No.
but their submission is
Correct.
done there. So June 30th, we're going to continue to talk about that. You'll see it all over our Instagram. You'll see it on our social media. So that's going to continue to run. We're going to keep pushing that up in your face so you guys remember to do that, because that's going to be a phenomenal trip. So we're excited to be able to give that away for somebody. So,
nothing gets better than going to Cabo and enjoying margaritas on the beach and some tacos brought to you out by the water. I mean, come on.
Sounds pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
go. I'm going now.
I was gonna say I'm about to start a submission and see if I can win the trip. I'm gonna need it here coming up soon. So, as we have gone through, we want to talk about shows in this episode. So obviously the last couple episodes, we talked about our SLABS and a lot of the upcoming stuff there. We did a ton of content for Mint that we know that you guys have been able to see. But what we want to talk about now is shows.
Low rider.
What you doing?
My chair is sinking over here.
You're on a sinking ship, I guess. Yeah. Okay, that's all right.
I keep going down.
Hey, you know what? We said that this is our construction studio. Whoop. We are working on it right now. So, all right. So this is what we wanted to talk about today: is shows that we've gone to. We travel all the time for shows.
Yes,
travel all over the country. We've got 2 main teams, so we can be in 2 shows at same weekend. As we do a lot of times.
We travel so much, I had to set up a separate account on my American Airlines because my miles were to a max.
Really?
So I had to put had to set a separate account. Yeah. It's not really a thing. I was making it up.
Got it. See, I guess I'm gullible. All right. So this is what it's going to be, is we want to go through some of these shows. So, excuse me for my notes, but I told you guys, this is a lot of shows. So what we're going to go through is I want to talk about what we see at shows. So obviously we see sports cards.
We see
right?
cards.
Yeah, thank you. We see sports cards, but different shows have different feels, right? Different shows are structured different ways. Mm-hmm. They tend to be more vintage focused or more ultra modern, or maybe breakers are there, or industry people. So I'm going to go through a list of shows, and the reason we're doing it is because we want to create some additional, shout outs for these shows that do a lot of work, but B, so people know what they can expect to see if they go to them.
Okay,
cool. So, so we're going to start out with January of this year. So San Antonio Card Show. This is one we've been to multiple times.
Yep. Love those guys down there. They do an awesome job.
They do a really good job. Mm-hmm. Yep. So Brian and Wallace are the guys down there. The next one is actually coming up really soon for that, actually at the end of this month, end of April. So tell us about the San Antonio Card Show. What is that one kind of geared towards maybe?
At the San Antonio Card Show, you're going to find a lot of raw stuff there. There's a lot of raw. So if you're looking to buy raw to have graded, that is the show to go to. Mm-hmm. For San Antonio, there's a lot of graded stuff there too, but I would say the majority of the floor is a lot of raw stuff. So real good opportunity to capitalize on some of those grades. Yeah,
I agree. There are additionally some good people that bring a lot of comic books. Yep. I know that. There's not a crazy amount of wax there. No. It's not a huge wax show, but
unless you like retail wax, there's a lot.
True, there is retail, but yeah, it's really a good show for raw cards. Mm-hmm. There's no question. So, and that show again, the next one is coming up at the end of April. So, the next one that we're going to talk about, a big one here, is the Dallas Card Show. Obviously, probably the biggest show in the central area. I would for sure say that we've attended. So, what about the Dallas Card Show? What do you get there?
There is a lot of great cards that you can pick up at the Dallas Card Show. The problem that I have with the Dallas Card Show is it's usually people who are just wanting to flex. You usually walk around and it's like, well, what do you want for this card? Well, that one's not for sale. Well, what about this one? Well, I really don't want to sell that. Was there anything in your case you want to sell? And that's the most frustrating thing about the Dallas Card Show is people are they're like, well, you know what? I know the card market value on that thing's $50,000, but I want $80,000. I know I'm high. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the frustrating thing with Dallas. Great cards, great people, mm-hmm. but nobody wants to move anything at a fair market value.
And it is one of the biggest shows also.
Yep.
So I think they've had as many as 600 tables at different shows. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it is a very big show. And it's consistent. It's been for the last year and a half, it's been consistently big.
Yep.
I can only maybe think of one time where it felt like the crowd was lower. But in general, big crowds, big vendors, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
they usually run in multiple rooms in there because we filled
correct.
Up the one main room. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's a great show. And you can find some deals there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you can't. But like a lot of the people that I go and, see at those shows, the ones that I know have the big cards, that's usually what it is. You know what? I really don't want to sell that. And then what's really frustrating is 2 weeks later, you see that card on their Instagram story.
Got it.
Where they're trying to sell it.
Right,
and I'm like, I just had an opportunity or just made an offer for you to purchase this card, and now you're going to throw it on Instagram. Anyway, that's the only frustrating thing with Dallas.
So in that show, would you also say more graded, 50-50? Like, what do you tend to see?
It's probably more along the lines. There's a few people that come in there that I've noticed that have been newbies that doesn't have a whole lot of graded, but the majority of that room is probably graded stuff. I'd say it's probably 85-15.
Yeah.
85% graded, 15% raw.
True. So. Yeah, that makes sense. So now I didn't get to personally go to this one. I believe you did though. The Fitterman Sports Show. It's an autograph show of Texas. So what about that one?
The Fitterman Group puts on some great autograph signings. They bring in some great guys for that purpose. For us, it just wasn't a good event for the card show. There wasn't enough card vendors there. There wasn't enough people coming through the door that wanted to have their cards RCR'd or graded. And so for that show, it was, if you're looking for autographs, it's a well-run show, great group of people to go see and get the autographs, but not for a card show.
Got it. So one to maybe stay away from on the card side, but definitely go to for autographs and memorabilia.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
The TriStar Houston Collectors Show. So I actually was at this one. I don't think you were at TriStar.
I didn't go to TriStar. TriStar was back in the day of when I used to have a card shop.
Sure.
I used to travel and do the TriStar show all the time.
Gotcha.
But I haven't done it recently, so that would be one that you should speak on.
Yeah. So again, this is actually a strong autograph show, but it is a strong card show as well. So from our perspective, we evaluate shows based on how many cards we do, but in general, there's a strong card presence, much more than it sounded like at Fitterman, but they do bring in great autograph guests, really good group of people that run that. The TriStar is huge. I mean, TriStar is highly involved with the Nationals and the autograph signings there and stuff like that too. So it's a great group. They do bring in a lot, but they also have a really, really good card show there. So one to keep on your mind. That happens in Houston. I think it's twice a year is when the TriStar happens. So the GG2 Card Show in Springdale, Arkansas.
Hey, we're going there this weekend.
We are going there this weekend.
Nice. Yep. We done that show for the first time here a few months ago, maybe a month ago.
February,
yeah, 2 months ago. So had a really good turnout. They got a really good crowd there. They have a lot of loyal people that come to that show, and the people that put on the show are just genuine. They're a great group of people. So, I mean, if you're looking for cards there, I mean, it's a good venue. It's 20,000 square foot venue, but, runs around 150 tables or so.
Okay.
But I would say that show is probably a 50-50 mix on raw versus graded.
Got it.
So you're not going to find like some of the big boys like you can find in Dallas, but you're also not going to find people who aren't willing to sell at GG2. Most of everybody there was willing to move on their products. So.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And then GG2, so Griffey Guy and Griffey Gal.
Yep.
Right? Is the two people that run that. And theirs is unique, at least I think it's unique, that they run their show on Friday, Saturday, and they don't run it on Sunday. So that's something kind of different. The next one, again, is this weekend in Springdale, Arkansas, and then they go to Tulsa, Oklahoma at some point throughout the year. So they run them every couple months. So that's what's up with that one. Then we're going to move on to Culture Collision. So this was a late February show. Prism God, who we actually did an interview with at Mint, runs that show. That's a once a year show. So tell us about Culture Collision.
I really like that show. Like, to be quite honest, that outside of like, it was a different feel than Mint. I can't even compare it to a Mint show, the one in Vegas. But I mean, if you take that one out, honestly, I think that is probably one of the most well-run shows by those guys in Prism God. I mean, they do such a great job. They brought in a lot of great dealers. There was a lot of great cards in the room. eBay had a huge booth there. The only thing that I had was where we were set up. Gotcha. We were right by the DJ booth, and we were literally having to almost scream at people for him to hear us. But I mean, it kept your head bobbing the whole time. I mean, the music. Yeah. So it was a great time. And I've already spoken to Prism God on it.
Yeah.
And, I commented on his post when he made the, next announcement for January about being, one of the best shows in the country.
Cool.
And so I still stick by that. He does a great job, and they've got a great venue there. So, and the actual hotel where we stay, where it's the show is, it almost had a national vibe to it. It was a very clean, it was just a well-run, well-organized show. So they did a great job.
That's awesome. So Prism God and Prism Goddess are the two people that run that show. So next one is going to be January 2023, once a year, Atlanta, for sure, a show that you want to be
well worth going to.
And they had a 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 basketball tournament.
They did
as well.
I think we're going to have to get into that next time.
Maybe
because I'll watch some of those guys play that.
Yeah.
Man, we could put together a team.
All right, we'll see when next year comes around. We might have to do a little bit of a.
Hey, I'm calling you
practice.
out. Whoever won that tournament, we're gonna come take that championship from you.
Gotcha. And I saw that our friend Brock from PWCC was playing out there.
You know, he thought he was Larry Bird. He's like
white men can't jump.
Yeah,
He's like,
he walked into the show with his jersey tucked in. It was like he was so proud of wearing that jersey. Like, I mean, he has his jersey tucked in. And I love Brock. Brock's a good dude, and he actually can shoot from the perimeter. So
Okay,
he does.
nice,
He does
okay.
pretty good. He's
Yeah.
got that. He does have that Larry Bird float to it, you know. But
Got it.
He does a good job.
so you got to watch out for him.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That was one I was not at because I was in that same weekend. I was at the Orlando Collecticon. So that was the 2022 kickoff to Collecticon. So this is the biggest event show run that happens within the Pokemon TCG world there. So there are 6 events throughout the year. This year, and that was their first one, was in Orlando the same weekend. They do, if you're into trading card games and that kind of stuff, they do a phenomenal show, extremely well run. They have they have performances. They had Vanilla Ice there. They had the Ninja Turtles.
Ice, baby.
Correct. Yes. They have the Ninja Turtles that were there. I mean, they have Jason Page, who did the original music for Pokemon. That goes on all weekend. So I hope you love hearing it 150 times. But the show's really well done. And one thing that's unique about that I don't see in a lot of shows is it's tall. And when I say that it's tall, the vendors build things up. They have like nets and cages and all kinds of stuff, which just makes the show seem larger than what it normally is. Most of the time when we go to these shows, you can kind of like scan the whole room because it's only these short tables and then everything else is below that. And I mean, literally some of these displays are 15, 20 feet tall, I swear. So, so the DCI booth does not stick out as much when you go there. But
I've only been to, I think, one of those Collecticons.
The one in Dallas.
Yes.
Yep.
And I mean, I will say it was very clean.
Very clean.
The only thing that I got is I just can't get into grown men wearing Pikachu outfits. I can't do it.
I can't with you right now. No, you will not see me in a Pikachu outfit. It's not happening. Don't even think. I'm just messing.
Actually, we're gonna get him in a Pikachu outfit. He's gonna stand outside our booth at the next Collecticon in a Pikachu outfit.
Great. Anyway, don't no ideas here. Anyway, Collecticon was that one. Then we came back again. We had another Dallas card show. I know that we've already hit that. Again, they run those every 2 months. So it was January, March, May, and then they hit July a couple weeks before the national, and then they'll continue on with their schedule from there. So just so you know, that big show in Dallas happens every 2 months typically. Then we're at the Philly card show, one that you've been to before last year, and then I went to the one this year as well. And I would say that is an old school card show, heavily vintage focused.
I would completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It is probably 70% vintage.
Sure. Yep. Yeah. And I think that might just be a reflection of maybe the East Coast, and we'll kind of talk about that in a minute.
That's where baseball started.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So it is a good show. It is run by the group at CSA Shows who run that one. It's big. It's got a good feel to it. You do get a couple other like grading companies and different things there. You see a lot of unique vintage things out there, not just necessarily cards. You see some memorabilia and things like that. Auction companies are there. So anyway, so that's a good show to go to if you're up on the East Coast. It is a little bit outside of Philadelphia. It's called the Philly Show. It's about 45 minutes outside. It takes place at the Valley Forge Casino is where that one happens at. So you can go ahead and lose all your money downstairs and then go upstairs and lose any remaining dollars at the casino.
You know, I didn't lose money when I was there, though.
You won at the casino?
I did win at the
That's
casino.
good.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just take them for like a couple $100.
Little roulette. No,
Yeah.
We had a comma in my winnings.
Oh, comma.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No 2 comma mafia, but you got 1 comma. That's good.
Got a comma in there.
Cool. I love it. Sweet. Then obviously we went to the Mint Collective.
Yep.
I know we've hit that a ton.
We have.
Phenomenal show.
Amazing.
Can't wait till the one next year. Don't even know
100%.
where it's going to be, but we're in.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Then we went to Chantilly. So this is as we started April. So you were at the Chantilly show.
Yep.
Also a CSA Shows show.
Mm-hmm.
What was your impression of Chantilly?
Another vintage show. I mean, it's still another majority vintage show.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking for vintage, it's a trend. It's all on the East Coast.
Sure.
For a lot of that vintage stuff. So those are good shows to travel to if you're a big vintage collector. So.
They did have quite a bit of autographs at the Chantilly show, though, right?
They did. They had a big autograph list, but a lot of them ended up canceling because this last time, due to some weather issues and getting flights out of where they were at. So,
got it.
But I mean, they still had a decent turnout of people that were in there.
Cool. And then bring it back to episode 2. I believe there were a bunch of Cowboys players that came to do autographs, right?
Yeah.
Did you pay a lot of attention to that?
What? No. You want them washed up Cowboys? No. I could care less who was there. Now Connor, our camera
our
guy,
social media guy, yeah.
He was over there like taking pictures, and I mean I even saw some drool down the side of the camera. You know, he really just wanted to go over and hug him.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, but no, I care less.
Nice.
He sent me a picture and was like, CD Lamb's here. I'm like, who's that? Who cares?
I know that's not true. I know that you know who CD Lamb is. So the Rich Altman Card Show, this was the Boston show that just took place last weekend. So tell us about the Boston show.
The Boston show is another one of those vintage shows. It's up on that East Coast. It's majority, or I'm going to say that all of those East Coast shows that we've been to is 70% vintage in the room at a minimum. The Boston show, I mean, it wasn't that great. To be honest, the venue, I felt like I was waiting on the elephants to come out. I felt like I was in a circus. You know, I mean, it had that smell to it. It was old. I was not a fan. It was on the end of a dead end road to get to, and it was out of the middle of nowhere. I wasn't a fan. So I know there's like another one that's coming up.
Yep.
I'm hoping it's not at that venue.
Gotcha.
Hoping they have another venue, and I'd like to try it because this last one for us, the foot traffic was not good. Of course, they didn't set it up on a great day. I think there was opening day for the Boston Red Sox was on Saturday. Then they had hockey tournaments that were going on Saturday. Gotcha. So it wasn't a great show this time around.
Gotcha. That happens. Yeah, we run into those. So while you were out at the Boston show, I was at the card stock trading show out in Van Nuys, California. So this one of the first West Coast shows, actually, I think really the first true West Coast show that we've had. So went out to that. So this is run by a guy named Chris. Does a really, really good job. Big fan of Chris and the stuff that he does. We haven't talked about the show. This was an old show that we used to go to, but the McAllen Card Show, and really right down in the Rio Grande in Texas. So it kind of reminded me of that. They had like food vendors outside and trucks and that kind of stuff. So you could go ahead and do all that. The show itself isn't in the biggest of spaces right now. They're moving to a convention center for their next one. So I don't want to like discount it or the show or him. It's just moving to a convention center for the next one, which will be good because they'll get into a better space. But they've taken a space and they've built over time, which I appreciate. So it's one of those things that's been consistent for them. So anyway, so Chris at the Van Nuys show, we liked it. We are going to come back and do the next one that comes up, but that's kind of what you get from the card stock trading show. It was very, very little vintage, heavily influenced on what I would consider to be modern to ultra modern. There was a decent amount of wax. And one of the unique things that they do there is Saturday and Sunday, which the show is 2 days, they're separated. So meaning that you sign up for Saturday or Sunday or both. And so there were people that just simply couldn't do the show on Saturday, but they fully brand new tables, all that kind of stuff got set up on Sunday. So there were new vendors that were coming in. So by the second day of the show, you weren't just looking at the same stuff. So that was kind of nice that they do that a little bit different format. So, as we go into some upcoming shows, so I'm only going to hit a couple that we have through the end of this month. So obviously the GG2 card show, we talked about that, but you are going to do the Long Island National Show, which is the one at Hofstra.
Coming to New York.
So what do we think that's going to be? Vintage? Yep.
It's going to be vintage. I just hope they bring in their people. I really hope that's going to be a good show.
Sure.
So we'll see.
Yeah. We will see. And then I'm going to be out at the Union Marketplace. So this is a show I'm super, super excited for. This is down in San Diego, California, and down in the area, down in Del Mar. And so I'm excited to go to that one. We actually interviewed Wiley when we were in at the Mint. So we have an interview with him coming up too. So excited to see how that show's going to go.
That Union Marketplace show, I am really excited to see what the turnout is for that one. My expectations on that show are extremely high.
Sure.
So I really hope that's a really good show for us.
Yeah, and it's a good size show. They have 68,000 square feet, so it's not a small
Yeah.
venue. So, and then we have the San Antonio Card Show again, which we already hit. So that closes us out through the end of April. So, I mean, if I'm looking 10, 13, 14, we have hit 17 shows, I think, so far this year in the first 4 months of the year. So
Man.
that's pretty busy.
Maybe that's why I'm so tired.
It could be. So now I want to go to...
Or it could be the 75 hard that we're just about finished up
Day
with.
74 today as we're recording this. So we got 2 days left. This is good. We'll talk about 75 hard on a different episode, maybe how it might affect you in business.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a good idea, but I want to skip over that now. And I want to go to just give the viewers, if you are going to a card show, what do you do? So like, what's the most important shows of the year is where I'm going to start. First question.
The most
Most important ones to go to. If you could only go to 3 shows a year, what would they be?
Me personally, if I could only go to 3 a year?
Yeah, or to our viewers. What do you think the most important ones?
Well, I'm going to tell you that it's going to be the Nationals is going to be number one. You need to be at Nationals. That's just a great show. Not exactly clean, but if you want it, it's there.
Sure.
So we'll take that one off the list. So that's one. 2, you need to go to Culture Collision, the Culture Collision show. I think that is a great show in Atlanta. And right now, I mean, as far as when you're talking about venues and places and vendors and things along those lines, then you need to be at the Dallas Card Show. Those are going to be the 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Mint is one that's in there too. If, they continue with the yearly thing on the Mint. The Mint is a great run show. Lots of information. You can go there and get educated while you buy cards and things along those lines. So those would be my 4.
Sure, that's fair.
That I would give you. So that puts you, and I just don't know. We haven't done enough on the West Coast. Like that's the reason I'm really hoping that Union Marketplace is one that we can add to that list.
Yep.
Because then that pretty much covers us West Coast to East Coast, right?
Right. For sure.
But you notice a trend on all of those? They all are down towards the South.
Oh,
other than the Nationals.
Yeah.
Because the Nationals is not in the South.
Sure.
Something about those South shows brings the
more money. Yeah. And we've talked about depending on the time of year too, right? That can be another important factor. So all these big shows that are even in the north tend to do their larger shows, I believe, in the summertime, which makes sense.
That's the only time I'm going to go.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going up there in the wintertime. I don't do cold.
What would you say would be one of the best shows for vintage?
Anything on the East Coast.
Okay.
I mean, Chantilly, Philadelphia, any of that, the National, all of that's gonna be, and the Nationals in New Jersey this year. So there's gonna be tons of vintage.
Sure.
I'm sure at National. So, but yeah, vintage, anything East Coast.
What about for modern cards? Modern, ultra modern, that range.
Modern. I mean, you're gonna find those at a lot of the Dallas shows. You can find a lot of modern at Dallas shows. There's a lot of people that come to the Dallas show that love to rip wax.
True.
So you can
wax
find,
yeah,
you can find a lot of good modern at Dallas. And I mean, there's some of that at Mint and some of the other places too. So
sure. Non-sports cards for sure. Collecticon. I mean, that's a place to go to for non-sports.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest one. It's directly built for that, so that's a good one. So. The best shows for investors. So this I thought was an interesting question.
The best shows to go to.
You're looking for like high-end investment cards.
Okay. So are we high-end investment on vintage? Are we high-end investment on modern? Are we high-end investment? I mean, what are we?
I think just across the board, this was just, if you were looking to buy high-end cards for an investment, like you're trying to make a nice portfolio for yourself.
So if you're willing to pay over market, go to Dallas. That's okay. Go to Dallas. You're going to find it in Dallas. There's a lot of big players that come to the Dallas show, but be willing to pay over market price.
Got it.
Just the way it works.
Gotcha.
But that's probably going to be one of the better shows to go to pick up a lot of those big cards. Nationals. Nationals is probably going to be the answer for everything on
Yeah,
here.
that's true. Yeah.
But
that's
outside
a
of
one-stop
that,
shop.
yeah, you should go to Nationals. If you have not experienced Nationals, you need to go this year.
What would you say if you were just a general collector, right? So not Nationals, because I know that's the answer for all of it. If you're just a general collector, where's a really good show to go to?
Just a general collector, I mean, I would go to some of the, not the great big venues, to pick up stuff. Like hit up, the San Antonio show. Hit up, GG2 and that group up there.
Sure.
And some of those smaller, shows. I just think that you can get some better deals and find some things along the. If you're a general collector, you could care less whether or not the card's graded or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go there, buy the cards. Don't worry about the grades. Like, I bought some really nice Peyton Mannings when I was in Chantilly. I didn't care anything at all about a grade. I didn't care about the condition. I just was looking for the cards that I needed for my PC.
Yep.
And so you can find them in a lot of places,
Cool.
But if you stick to some of those smaller run shows, you tend to get a little better deal, and you can find them raw.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Probably some better pricing too, right?
Yep.
At some of the smaller shows.
Absolutely.
So, if you were trying to create media and content, so obviously this is something that DCI does a lot of, where would you say are good events or shows for that?
Mint, Culture Collision, Dallas, Nationals. I mean, like I said, I'm hoping the marketplace over there, those sort of things. So,
yep. Yeah, can be good ones. Cool. Now it's time for some tips. This is nope, can't say that. That'd be totally inappropriate. I was gonna say this would be just a tip with Brad, but we are gonna say,
hey, I have a shirt that's got a picture of it's got a shell on it like a bullet. And it's coming off, but it says just a tip, I promise.
Got it. I did not know that because you don't wear that around the office. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts of a card show, though. What are the do's and don'ts?
The do's and don'ts of a card show?
Yep.
As
like as a person walking around trying to buy some stuff, not from a dealer perspective. If you're just a general person that walked in.
So if you're going in there looking to pick up some cards, I mean, as an individual, when I go in to buy, one, if I'm working a deal at a table, I want the dealer to give me their price.
Got it.
Like, what's our range? Where are we at? It's not my job to make you an offer on your card sitting in your case. It's your freaking card. How much do you want for it? And then I'll know if we're in the ballpark. So, having that approach when you go into the show, I think is a lot better than, walking around and having the dealer, make that, have you make the price for him. I mean, do's and don'ts. I mean, that's kind of
cash.
I mean, yeah, you cash is
that
king.
One's king. Yep.
I mean, of course if you get cash, you're going to get a better deal than if you have to pay somebody with PayPal or with a credit card. But I mean, there could be lots of lists you could put together to make do's and don'ts out of.
Yeah.
Don't be rude. You're not that great. You're not as great as your mama tells you are.
Yep.
So don't walk around like, I got $5 million worth of cards in my case. Well, you know what? I'll tell you, just like my wife tells me, it's not worth anything unless you're willing to sell it. It's not worth anything. Right. It's just cardboard. So, just calm down a little bit. Yeah.
No, that's a good one. And realize that these dealers have people that come up to them constantly as well. So it does sometimes take time. Some of these dealers, you guys would be surprised where it's one individual and they've got 3 tables and they have, 8 showcases, which can be, you got to understand, 8 tables can be 18 to 25 feet worth of length for them that they're trying to keep track of. And there has been issues recently at a number of card shows with thefts of cards, right? Cards being taken. And so because of that dealer's trying to do their best. Yep. And so therefore it's a lot of real estate to keep your eye on.
But some great things for a dealer would be for them to price their cards. Just put a price tag on your card, because there's a lot of times that you may be, have a lot of people at your table and somebody like myself is browsing by, and I'm not going to stand there for 15 minutes and wait on somebody to finish on that end for you to tell me how much that card is. I'm going to keep strolling on by.
Yeah.
because there's stuff for me to go see. And I may end up making a deal somewhere else in the show where if you had a price on that card, then I already have a range of where I know you need to be.
Yeah.
And then I know whether or not if I'm going to stick around, because if the card I know that I'm looking for, if it's valued at 20 grand and you got it sitting in your case at 30 grand, I'm just going to keep right on strolling.
Sure.
Because we're way too far off.
Yep.
Because if I'm going to pay cash for that thing at a show, I'm going to save you a lot of fees from selling online and a lot of hassle. So I'm going to expect that card to be below 20 if that's the market.
Yep.
Maybe not much. Maybe 18, if
exactly.
I'm paying cash. But,
yeah,
so just price them.
Sure. And would you say even for yourself that 10% is a pretty typical amount off compared to comps? If $1,000 card, somewhere in that range?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of dealers in there, they'll try to hold true to the comp price.
Cool.
If it's 20,000, last sold for 20,000, I want 20,000 for mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it. Cool. Anything else that you want to talk about in regards to shows? Obviously, this was the whole goal of this on our show, to talk about shows.
No, I mean the show side of things, we really enjoy getting out there and seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Being able to visit with everybody, being able to provide the services, add the value back to the community of what we're doing on the RCR side.
Sure.
And we're super excited to get these slabs out in the market.
Yes,
too.
for sure. Yeah. Cool. Well, that is everything that we have. So what I want to talk about is I want to say, come and visit us at a show. Come give it a shot with DCI. We want to see you out there. We have a ton of shows. We continue to drop that on our Instagram. So it is at DCI Grading on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, what else? Twitter. Anything that you can think of, anything social wise, we are at DCI Grading. So come out and see us. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube here. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, everything else. Anything else from Big Sexy before we walk?
Nope. Big Sexy out.
Take care, everybody.